So my name is Anna Bommer. I am part of the Sport, Exercise, and Performance Psychology graduate program. I will be completing my degree in the spring of 2022. I was born and raised in Appleton, Wisconsin. I've been here my entire life, and I have a lot of family from Green Bay, so I'm also familiar with the Green Bay area. I completed my undergrad degree at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay, but I did transfer my credits in from Fox Valley Tech and NWTC as well. The reason that I chose UWGB originally, I just really like the school. Like I said, I have a lot of family from around the area. I also became very close to some of the teachers as well. So Dr. Alan Shu, the chair of the SET program, during my undergrad degree, I did an internship with him. And that's kind of how I got involved with the SET program. And I applied and I got in and it was great. I kind of didn't want to move too far away from the area, so Green Bay just seemed like a really good fit for me. So it is kind of a tricky question. So when somebody asks me what is sports psychology, I usually kind of answer that we can help different athletes and performers with psychological skills. So what does that mean? There can be a lot of negative self-talk going on in a performer's head. So we can try to help with that by helping people think a little bit more positively in that way. You can also use self-talk as motivation. We talk a lot about imagery, so being able to visualize success in a performance can really help performers. A lot of other skills too that are really applicable to your life. So like goal setting and behavioral change in a sense, specifically for performance psychology. So if I were to work with performing artists someday, like dancers and singers, stage fright is a really common thing for those types of performers. So that's specifically kind of what I would help with in that way. If I go down towards more of the exercise path, you might see a lot more of like the goal setting types of things and like health behavioral changes as part of that side of the program. I guess I used to be a performer myself, so I was in theater, choir, dance, all sorts of different performing art things. And I suffered with performance anxiety myself. So I think that really geared me towards wanting to work with other individuals that have that problem. I also exercise, I'm a runner. So helping with motivation, that's something that I've been able to find for myself. And I hope that someday that I can help different exercisers as well with motivation and confidence in their exercise domain. So that's tricky. Every day is a little bit different. So I am a teaching assistant. So I help Dr. Shu and Dr. Morrissey with different aspects of their classes. And I do have a little office downstairs. So I spend a lot of time in here with some of my colleagues that also have the teaching assistant position. Oftentimes I wake up early and I come to the office to kind of work on different things. I usually have quite a few different meetings going on throughout the day, so I attend those. And it's nice being here too on campus because then I can collaborate with my colleagues on different projects that we have for school as well. Another really big part of my day and my week is going to my internship sites. So part of the second year of this program is doing internships with the different sites that they place you with. So I work with gymnasts. That's like part of my internship is working with gymnasts at the YMCA. And I also work with exercise populations at a different YMCA in Green Bay. So almost every night of the week, I end up going to one of those internship sites where I will do workshops with a big group of people, or I can do individual sessions as well with people that are seeking help with developing some of these psychological skills that I talked about. So that's kind of a typical day and fitting in homework as I can throughout the day. So it's busy and hectic, but I do enjoy it for the most part. So it doesn't really seem like that much work sometimes because it is enjoyable for the most part. My favorite thing, I think, is the relationships that I've developed with people that I work with. The teachers I've grown really close with, and just being able to talk about different areas in the field and things that we're learning together. I can bounce ideas off of them to develop my own career path. But I've also become really close with the other people in my program. So we hang out a lot, and I've just grown to really appreciate a lot of the people that I'm working with all the time. So just making those relationships has been really important for me. And I would say that it's probably the best thing that I'm going to walk away with after this program is just these relationships and people that I can always go to with questions as I go throughout my own career. So last year, I remember answering this question, and I said it was the type of homework that was given because you're kind of having to think outside the box a little bit more in grad school versus your undergrad. And I think I've become pretty used to that. It's just part of the norm now is just a little bit tougher assignments and really having to think out your answers very clearly before you just dive into a homework assignment. But now I think what surprised me the most at this point in this during this year of my schooling is how involved we've gotten with the community. So we have connections with the YMCA, for example. So it's been great how this program has intertwined that into my career path, into my development. So that surprised me a lot, just how much real life experience I'm getting and these connections that I'm making with the YMCA. So there's, a decent chance that I could potentially get a job from one of these YMCA sites later down the road. And I didn't really realize how much support I would get towards that when I first joined the program. So that's been great. As a student in my undergrad, I guess it was developed right when I was finishing my undergrad. So I didn't really have a lot of time to build an impression before I applied. I just knew that it was a great program. Dr. Shu talked about it because I was in a physiology class with him. And I mean, at first, I also was like, what would you actually do with a degree in sports psychology or performance psychology? I had a lot of questions about it. But overall, I had a feeling that it would be somewhat a good fit for me, just because I didn't necessarily want to go down the research path or I didn't necessarily want to just be a mental health counselor. So this has been a really good middle ground for me. And I wasn't really sure how much of a good fit it would be for me, but the more I got into it, the more I realized that this is exactly what I was meant to do. So my first impression was confused, but also positive about it. And I think the program's been great so far, and it's met my expectations a million times over. So that's been great. One thing that I wish I knew was, or that I would like to share, some advice with other people, is just to dive into it. I could overthink my decisions a million times, but just diving into something that you're a little bit unsure about is probably one of the best things that you can do for yourself. So I wasn't entirely sure that this program was going to fit for me. I really did not know how I was going to use this in my future, but I took a chance on it and I got into the program. It was amazing. And I think it's going to be one of the best things that's ever happened to me. I've built so many different connections and I have a much clearer path about what I actually want to do with psychology now that I've done this. So I guess my advice would just be to try it out. You can always, you can always back out later if you don't like it. But now I know for sure that it was a good choice. And I'm glad that I did that. So what I kind of do is I leave the weekend as my free time. I try to rearrange my schedule in a way that I at least have one day a week where I'm not looking at my computer for either my teaching assistantship or my grad school studies. So I just kind of incorporate that into my life where that's my rest time. That's where I get to hang out with friends, catch up on chores, even looking into my future with different decisions that I have to make about that. I leave that all for the weekend. So I try to, like I said, schedule my life around that so that I at least have that one day to recharge so that I'm ready for the next. I guess one skill that I've had is organizational skills. So I think I bring that into this program in a lot of different ways. So when I'm working with Dr. Shu as a teaching assistantship, I do like to stay organized, and I have a planner that I fill out very religiously, and that helps me stay organized. And I I rarely miss deadlines, so that's definitely something that's been helping me out. And I think a lot of people also benefit from my organizational skills as well. So, like I said, with my teaching assistantship, I think they're very glad that I have those organizational skills because it's brought in a lot of good benefits towards what I'm doing. So that's a really good question. I'm still a little bit undecided, even though I've gotten a lot of great input and I have a lot of options basically. So eventually I would like to open up my own private practice, but that might be a little bit further down the road than I was thinking. I'm not entirely sure yet. So that's definitely like my end goal option. But I also have thought about working in a wellness center to help with health and exercise behaviors, helping like plan programs and stuff like that to help people reach their goals with health and exercise. Another option that I've considered is teaching. So with the teaching assistantship, I have gained a lot of good skills with lecturing, commenting and grading on assignments, and a lot of things that a teacher should know how to do. So that's definitely an option that I've considered. And the more that I'm doing it, the more that I can see myself actually like doing it in the long term. So like I said, undecided. We're gonna kind of see how it goes. If I reach my hours by the end of yeah, by the end of the program, that will set me up very well to potentially work with clients sooner than I thought. But I just have to see how my internship can really help with that.